Hi everyone, Coach Brittany here back again with another fun writing lesson. Today we are going to talk about community and we're going to build our own community. We're going to do some community circles and we're going to end with writing a poem about our community. So to get started, we're going to define what community means. Now this is a very broad term word. This is a term that does have a set definition, but it can mean something different for everyone. So I'm going to give you the definition that is very common, and then I'm going to ask you to kind of think through what it means to you. Because again, just because there's a definition doesn't mean it means the same thing to you. It could have a lot of different meanings, and that is great. So the word community, and this is like the Webster Dictionary official definition, is a group of people living in the same place or have a characteristic in common. So that's like your neighborhood people. You can talk about school communities. You could talk about home communities. You could talk about the physical community around you. You could talk about work communities. There's so many different definitions, but it's basically about a group of people living in the same place or have a characteristic in common. So the characteristic could be you all work in the same space, or you all read the same type of book, or you all play soccer together. So America Scores is a community because we all do poetry, soccer, and service learning and our after-school programming together. So again, it's a very broad word. Now this is just the general definition. What I want you to do is I want you to take a second, I want you to pause the video, and I want you to write down, what does community mean to you specifically? When you think of the word community, what do you think of? You could say the type of community. You can say words that come to mind when you think community, whether that's, kindness or caring, or do you live in a community that's doesn't work together as well and you want it to be more working together? That is up to you. So I want you to take a minute, I want you to pause the video, and I want you to write down everything you think of when you think of the word community. All right, now that you're back, you've kind of looked over the word community, you've kind of figured out what does it mean to you, how does it affect you, what does it bring to mind when you think of that word. What we're going to do is we're going to create community circles. So these are basically ways of figuring out who are in different levels of our communities. So again, community can be just at home, it could be neighborhoods, it could be schools, but there's ones that are closer to you and then there's ones that are further out from you. So there's people that are very close to you, and then your community can get bigger and bigger, like circles. So first thing I want you to do is I want you to draw a circle on your paper, and inside of a piece of paper, I want you to write the word me. So you're going to be at the center of the community that we're talking about. You're not always the center of the community. A lot of times, no one should be really the center. It should be kind of a whole, as a community, it means we're all working together, but we're talking about your specific circle. So that's why you're in the middle of our circle here. So once you have the me circle, I want you to draw another circle outside of that one that looks like this. And we're going to talk about your inner circle. So this is probably your community or your people that is the closest to you. So these are people that you rely on all the time. They might be people you go to for advice. They might be people you go to when you're sad or hungry or upset or you're lost. This might be people that you call if you need someone to help you. So this inner circle is my inner circle. And then I will talk about outer circles, but this is personal to me. So I'm going to show you what I want to write, and then I want you to write what you think. So for my inner circle, I have family. So my family is my community. I have 3 sides to my family, and we're all very close. So they're in my inner circle. Then I have classmates. When I was in school, I had friends, and they were my classmates, and those were my inner circle. For you, especially now that you're still in school, that is a very specific inner circle. So you have that inner circle of community where you have these people who you spend, 8 hours a day with for how many days a week, 5 days a week, for how many weeks there are in school. Even if we are not in person together, if you're doing virtually, we're still with those classmates. Pets. I consider pets as part of inner circle, my community, because pets are close. Pets mean a lot to me. I have a cat. He is my best friend. He is my buddy, whereas I grew up with pets. Pets were just another part of our family. So in my community circles, in my circle, my inner circle, people closest to me include my pets. Parents are caregivers. So I have 2 parents. I have my mom and my dad, and they are they're obviously there to take care of me at any time I need them to. The people I call when things happen, I need to just chit chat. You might have your parents, your caregivers, your aunts, uncles, grandparents, whoever you can see as that parental figure, and be part of your inner community circle. Then friends. Friends are another great part of your inner community circle. They're the ones who you maybe go to when you can't go to a parent or a caregiver. Maybe they're the ones who just tell all kinds of secrets to, or the ones who give you the advice you need. So you have in your inner circle, these are the kind of the closest. So these are your community people who are closest to you. And then I want you to draw another circle. So now we have 3 circles. And this one is your outer circle. So these are probably people who are in your community that might not be as close to you. You might not call them for advice one day, but you see them, you might talk to them, you might be friendly with them, you might know something about them, but you might not hang out with them as much. So for mine, it's coworkers. I am pretty good friends with my coworkers. We know each other pretty well. We see each other when we work 5 days a week, 8 hours a day. We don't see each other as much right now because we're all virtual. But my outer circle definitely in my community includes my coworkers. Spend a lot of time with them. We talk about a lot of different things. So I have in here store clerks. I have a few different people that when I go to stores, they're the same checkout people. Specifically, I'm thinking when I used to live at home with my mom, we went to Giant Eagle there. We had this fantastic store clerk, Yolanda, who always saw every time we went. We always made sure we were in her line. She got to know us pretty well. We got to talk about little things even when we were checking out. So while she might not be someone I'm going to call and hang out with, she's still part of my community because she's still someone I talk to a lot. She's someone I got to know too. School staff. So I work with Community America Scores. So part of my outer circle is the school staff. I see the staff a lot. I talk to principals and all the different staff in the school about setting up practices and registering kids. So again, and I've gotten to know some pretty well. I mean, again, it's not someone I might hang out with on a day-to-day basis and tell some personal details to, but they're still in my community. I still want to help when I can. I still help the school in any way I can. Then I have neighbors. Obviously, I live, unless you live in the far out country, in the middle of farmland where you have just cows and chickens and horses for neighbors. And even then you have neighbors because even if they're not right next to you, they're somewhere there. So everyone usually has some neighbors they live by, whether it's an apartment building or a house. I have neighbors around me. While I don't know them very well, I just moved into my house not too long ago, so I don't know them by first name basis, and I don't know too much about them other than that they live next door to me. They're still part of my outer circle. So they're still part of my community. If something happens in the community, I still want to make sure I help them because we still are all in one street and one space, and we need to make sure we keep that space adequate for everyone. So I want you to take a moment and I want you to draw the 3 circles, and I want you to think about what your community, your inner circle and outer circle of the community looks like. Again, inner circle is the people closest to you, community members. Again, this can be anybody who you rely on. And the outer circle are those people who are around you, who you might see, but you want to help, that you might not know personally, but you still want or consider part of the community. You still want to make sure that they succeed. You still want to make sure that they're okay. Okay? So when you're done with that, come back. We got one more activity. Now that you are back and you've done your community circle, so you have an idea who's in your community, whether that's close to you or outside of you, what we're going to do now is we're going to build our own communities. So what we're going to do is we're going to think about if we had the ability to completely design a whole community of our own with certain buildings and certain things, what would that look like? This is very up to you. It can be anything. So what I'm going to ask you to do, and because this is like a long-term thing, I'm not going to put a clock on it for us this time. I'm going to have you guys do it on your own. So I want you to set a clock for 2 minutes. This is the challenge part. You could set for 2 minutes and do this, or you can just not set a time limit. That is completely up to you. If you want to have a little bit of a challenge to it or not. But you're going to create your own community. In this community, you must have the following in your picture. So this is where I would like you to draw this. It's much more fun if you draw it, but if you want to write it, go for it too. So on a piece of paper, you're going to have a community that has 2 places to live. However you want to define that, whatever you want it to define as. 1 place to get food. Again, however you want to define that, whatever you want to say gets food. 1 place to play. 1 place to learn. 1 place for safety or help. And the name of your community and a fancy fun sign. So this is where you get to be the city planner. You get to make, draw it out. You can draw the streets and you can draw the flowers and the trees and all the fun stuff and even add people to it if you want. But in it, making sure you have 2 places to live, 1 place to get food, 1 place to play, 1 place to learn, 1 place for safety or help, and the name of your community on a fancy sign. Okay? So again, if you want a challenge, put 2 minutes on the clock, set your challenge, and then come back. Or you can just take as long as you need to create your community, because I know some of you are so into art and you have such artistic ability. This is going to be a beautiful community. Or you can just write it out, whatever you want to do. All right, you are back. You have drawn community circles, so you know who is in your community. You've built your own community, so you know places and things that are physically in the community. Now we're going to do our poem. So I want you to write a poem. It can rhyme, it can be short, it can be long, however you want it to write it, about your community in any way you like. You can talk about what you like your community. You can talk about what you think needs to change in your community. You can talk about what you wish your community was like. You know, do you wish it had certain other things that it doesn't longer have? Do you wish certain people lived there that don't longer live there? Or who are some community you would like to look up to or know? Are there friends or neighbors? Are you someone that you want to, you know, say, this is my favorite person in our community, and write about them? However you want to define the word community and however you want to talk about your community, it is up to you. So I just want you to write a poem about community. I want you to write about however you want to talk about your specific community that you live in, because there are so many different ways to define this and so many different things to talk about when you talk about community. All right, you've made circles, you've built a community, and you've wrote a poem. And as always, we want you to share your stuff with us. So again, I want to hear your community poems. I want to hear about the great things or the things you want to change, or what you know, how you want to change it, or the fantastic people in community, whatever you wrote about. So I want you to share your poem on Flipgrid.com with us. I want you to use the code Writing Poems, and under the topic Building Community, I want you to submit your poem. Again, this is, you get points for every video you submit. 10 points get you a patch, 3 patches get you prizes by the end of the summer. So make sure you are working on those poems, turning them in. Again, you can turn this in at any time during the time that we post them, from June 8th, July 31st. So please make sure you share that with us so that we can shout you out and show off your fantastic writing. And I cannot wait to see your poems, and I cannot wait to see you guys next time. Have a great day, guys.